And now I'll turn it over to Erin, I believe.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. Is my volume okay, Steph? Yeah, okay. So yes, welcome. I'm Erin McFarland, the Digital Engagement Coordinator with Healthy Aging Alberta, and we really appreciate you being here and for your interest in Healthy Aging CORE Alberta, or CORE for short. We have a few different ways that we say it. CORE Alberta, CORE Healthy Aging, CORE Healthy Aging CORE Alberta. So CORE is just one part of a provincial initiative that Stephanie's mentioned already, and that is on the screen, called Healthy Aging Alberta, and the backbone organization for that initiative is the United Way of Calgary and area. And so Stephanie and I are just two of the staff on the Healthy Aging Alberta team. There are currently 12 of us on the team, and we're spread throughout the province. So Healthy Aging Alberta is a network of community-based organizations and allies from across the province who are united by the shared vision of making Alberta one of the best places in the world to grow older. We build connections, coordination, and capacity within the community-based senior serving or CBSS sector. And we also work to link the sector with other systems such as health and housing. Healthy Aging Alberta emerged in 2019. It's based on the Healthy Aging model out of BC, British Columbia. And the United Way, Calgary, and the government of Alberta have worked closely together in its development. Because organizations serving older adults with non-medical community supports play a really critical role in Albertans aging in their own homes or aging in community, the belief is that coordinating our efforts, integrating with the broader system of care, and having a united voice is critical to meeting the needs of this rapidly growing demographic. So that's a bit of just an overarching piece to situate you within today. And then just a few acronyms. Stephanie had said RCD, that's Regional Community Developers, which is actually not on the slide. Perhaps we should add this to our acronym slide. But if you're wanting to learn more about like the many other things that are going on with Healthy Aging Alberta, we have regional community developers situated throughout the province who can connect with you and tell you more. And again, Michael is one of them, that he's our newest one. Some other acronyms we use are, and I've already said some of them, and they also appear on CORE, which is why we're going over them now, is CBSS, so community-based senior serving. These are the nonprofits or the public organizations providing non-medical community supports to older adults. We use it to describe both organizations that serve older adults in the sector as well as the sector itself. Healthy Aging Alberta, which I feel like I've said 37 times already, or HAA, not HA, HAA, is the name of the initiative, and that name was endorsed by community in 2021. Allied partners refer to partners from other sectors, such as government, health, and justice, and they're not necessarily community-based, but the services they provide and the influence they have is intertwined with an older adults network of support, and they might be connected to HAA as supporters or stakeholders or become partners in the work. And then we have the Community Leadership Council. We usually call that the CLC, and they're the group that establishes the strategic objectives, really the governance overseeing Healthy Aging Alberta. And they're made up of representatives from across the province. I believe we have 9 members currently. And so all of this is just to situate CORE within this broader framing of, what is it connected to on a higher level. So the overarching vision is really this idea that by building a network that connects the sector's organizations, we have the ability to have a greater impact on the lives of Albertans, and CORE really plays a key role in moving this vision forward. We encourage individuals and organizations to engage in the ways that work for them. And again, other ways to do that would be to connect with a regional community developer. And now moving to CORE, which is the focus of today's session. So if you're not already familiar, CORE stands for Collaborative Online Resources and Education, which I just guess is an acronym in itself. And it's a free member-based digital knowledge and learning hub. It functions as a communications tool, a content sharing tool, a capacity building tool, and a collaboration tool. So a lot of multiple purposes. And overall, it's contributing to the network and sector building goals and the vision of Healthy Aging Alberta. Just briefly, in terms of its origins, in response to the pandemic in 2020, CORE was rapidly launched in 4 weeks, and it was initially supposed to be a 6-month timeline. there was, and the reason it launched so quickly was it was already a plan in place. The pandemic hit and it was like, this could be a really useful tool like in this moment. And there was funding from the Ministry of Seniors and Housing, what it was called at the time. Now it's the Ministry of Seniors, Community and Social Services, Alberta Health Services, and Alberta Blue Cross at that time as well. And it was an adaptation of the Healthy Aging CORE British Columbia site. As you know, there was a critical need to effectively communicate, share information, share resources, collaborate to really serve older adults in a time that was, they're at very high risk, and CORE very much aligned with that need. And so the platform very much originated as a pandemic response. And as we've kind of moved further away from that time, there's this opportunity to explore its broader applications. The site was redesigned in 2022, late 2022. Yes, a year ago, about. Seems like it wasn't that long ago. And we call that CORE 2.0. But if you're brand new, you wouldn't know that. So it's just CORE Alberta, that we're now working with. And as I've kind of mentioned too already, and I think Stephanie said this too, CORE Alberta, the brand, is also present in CORE BC and CORE Canada. Again, CORE BC is the original platform. We often include their resources and events on CORE Alberta. And CORE Canada captures information that is outside of BC and Alberta, or maybe that also includes them, but is also beyond them. One of the new features with the CORE 2.0 was that the three sites all became integrated. So there's a way that you can toggle between the three of them at the top. And when you sign up to be a member of CORE Alberta, you're able to simultaneously click a box that makes you become a member if you want of CORE Canada. And you're able to post content to both and potentially reach a broader audience. And then you can also sign up for CORE BC, but you have to actually go to that site and sign up separately there. But yeah, you can be a member of all three if you would like. What do you need to do? How do you become a member? Who can become a member? It's basically another way of saying who can have a CORE account and who can post certain types of content on their own to the site. If you're a CBSS staff or volunteer, please join us. If you are part of an allied system, such as government, housing, health, justice, private business, you're more than welcome to also join us. Actually, kind of anyone can join, but the kind of the target audience of the site is the CBSS sector. And you also need an email address. So the requirements are pretty easy to meet. And then yes, also being interested in being part of a provincial knowledge hub. Having the interest is a good prerequisite to have as well. And then I think this is the last slide for me. Just wanted to provide you with a bit, just a sense of the reach of CORE through some key stats. And so we currently have 1,842 members. If you've ever watched a previous recording of our CORE 101, that number actually may have sounded higher before, but we're kind of going through, now that CORE has been around for some time, we're kind of going through and updating some of the outdated or expired member information. So the numbers fluctuate a little bit. We have over 4,000 pieces of content on the site now, and not all of that is necessarily up to date. And that's another kind of ongoing piece for us, is a lot gets added all the time. And then there's also the work of trying to remove some of it to keep it really current. Last month, we had over 4,000 site visits. So not unique, cumulative, but pretty high number regardless. And then, yeah, I think, also we have 18 core groups, and we'll talk a bit more about what that means, who are collaborating on the site or sharing content on key issues through the site. And so that's a quick snapshot. And I think I'll leave it at that for now and hand it back over to Stephanie, who's going to start to show you around the site itself.
Wonderful. Thank you, Erin. Okay, so I'll just switch over to my screen. Can everybody see the website screen here? Yeah, looks good. Okay. Wonderful. So this is the CORE platform, as you can see. So we have, as Erin mentioned, you can toggle between national and BC. So any of you folks can set up your profiles when you But when you go here to, actually, I'm logged in already, but you'll have a sign up button. So you can, as Erin mentioned, you can sign up for the Alberta platform. You can also sign up for National and BC. Alberta and National, you can sign up at the same time, and then BC, you'll have to toggle to their page to sign up. Separately, all three sites have information, and we aren't always sharing the same information. We share different information. So it is valuable to have them. You can see what BC's up to that's different than us. You can also change languages as well up here. If French is your first language, you could switch this over to French, just like that. And then Erin's going to talk more about posting, which is the plus button when you come in. I'll talk a bit more about notifications later, but once you have a profile, this is where you'll get little pop-up notifications of what's been up to, what's been happening, maybe some stuff that's been happening in your groups, or if somebody sends you a message. And there is a messaging option that you can message other folks in the system. So you can see I have a little message with Erin here that you can message other folks. Okay, so the homepage. When you're on the homepage here, you'll see it does feature some of the recent news. It has a little spotlight here of some of the recent stuff. Some of the upcoming training and events. Again, as Erin mentioned, this is for the community-based senior serving sector. So these aren't events. Anybody can post events. You can post events, but we're not posting events with seniors in mind. We're posting the events with the community-based senior serving organizations and leaders in mind. So these are all capacity building events for people working in the sector. So when you're sharing stuff, that's who your target audience is. And then resources, same thing. So you can see there's our top resources that have been posted recently. There's a link to the groups. We have some of these hyperlink areas as well here. A little feature, this one actually we're changing out, so I'm not going to talk about that one. About Us goes to some information about Healthy Aging Alberta. We have the newsletter sign up. So Erin and I send a newsletter every second week that captures some of the recent content. So if you haven't been able to keep on the site regularly, it's a nice way to get a little snapshot of some of the recent content that's come out or some events coming up, so that you can keep in the loop, even if you're busy. So we invite you all to please subscribe to the newsletter, and then you can get regular updates. Comes out every second Thursday. And then at the bottom, there's some additional hyperlinks here that connect to that work. So that's the homepage. Now you'll see many of those pages also connect to, so you have all the different headers at the top here as well. So I'll start with the funding opportunities. Erin will talk about groups here after me. So funding opportunities, this is by no means a comprehensive list, but Erin and I try to post any of the opportunities that come across our plate. And you'll see that when we're posting new funding opportunities, we try and keep the next deadline in the title there. So you can kind of peek through, see what's going on, see what there might be that you could apply for. For example, if you find one that sounds interesting, you just click on the resource. You'll see that it'll have a snapshot of some of the information, and then Erin and I have linked to the full page for that funding, so you can actually open the full page to see more about that. So again, this isn't a complete and full list. This is just what comes across our plate, and we try to keep it, keep as many opportunities for you as we hear about here. And we'll also post that in the newsletter each week, so you know what's coming up, so you can plan your next little bit of work. Network partners and organizations. So we have just some of the different organizations here in the sector, little snapshots. We're going to be building out this section here soon. This section is a little bit small right now, but we're currently launching a different version of a systems map. So in the upcoming months, you'll actually see some really interesting things happen under this tab with an interactive systems map that will be really wonderful and be able to show each of your individual organizations and a breakdown of where you're from, some of the information about you. So more to be added to that one. Resources. So this is any resources and items that will help you with your work. So whenever we have things come across our plate, we load them up on here, as well as any of the members on the site can post resources here. So you can see there's some new ones that actually I ran up yesterday. Some really nice reports that came out this week. So so you can see, and then any of the resources, just like how the funding looked when you click on it. My computer is being slow. We have a little intro right up, and then you can see the full resource there. You can see these subject areas and audience. Erin's going to go into those of what that means when she is talking about posting, but I will show you from any of these sections have a little search. So you'll see here, there's a filter. So if I'm trying to find ones that are related to, for example, First Nations Aboriginal communities, and then I click that and I go apply, you'll see some of the information that pops up there. So those are a way that when the information is loaded, whatever tags put in will help us, will help you do a quick search, right? So you see there's multiple different ways to do quick searches here. And whichever ones you would like to do will pull up different information. So that can help you search things and a little bit easier to find the information. Training and events. So we have this training and events calendar. Like I said, this is resources for folks of the sector. So not necessarily like a coffee and chat group of just older adults hanging out. It's more for capacity building for you folks. So you can see we have a few more coming up before the end of the year. For example, donor retention strategies for time-giving efforts. So here you go, and then you can see there's a registered button, so you can sign up. All of our training and events are free unless otherwise posted. Every now and then we'll have one listed from someplace like Nonprofit Quarterly that they might charge a membership. But if there is ever a fee to attend the event, we put that in the post. So, and if you're loading any, same thing. If there is a fee, please put it in the post. Otherwise, our priority is posting free content. It's posting free events. It's posting free content. We don't want it to have paywalls. So when you are posting your content, and Erin can talk a bit more about that when she shows how to post, please make sure that you're not posting content with paywalls that will stop folks from accessing it. Okay. And I think that is the end of my section. I'm going to turn it back over to Erin here.
Okay, welcome back to me. And can you see the site, Stephanie, on my screen? Make sure I'm, yes, I see someone nodding, so we hope you see CORE. So an additional part of the site that I'm going to speak to is the groups section. Maybe I'll first of all say that, so everything on the site can be accessed without actually being logged into it, except for kind of two main purposes. One is to be able to post content yourself, and then the other is to join and access the groups, participate in the groups. So I'm going to just head over to the groups section. You'll see that there's a drop-down menu with two options, all groups and my groups. And so it's pretty self-explanatory, but my groups will be anything that you've joined will just kind of show up by itself in that section. But for today, I'm going to go to all groups. And in terms of, what is a group? So a group is essentially a dedicated area on the site for either an existing collaborative to share their resources and connect to more people, or for different organizations and individuals working on a similar topic to collaborate and connect. And the primary ways that they end up looking is like we have had discussion groups, we've had communities of practice, use this functionality, and working groups, which typically end up being what I'm going to call closed groups. So, a particular group of people that are working quite closely together on some kind of collaborative issue. And perhaps at that time, it's not open to like everyone joining. It's limited to the folks who are directly working on that. And so it might be a place for them to host and hold their meeting minutes, for instance. So kind of building on that, there is this distinction between open and closed groups, and you will be able to tell the difference because an open group will just have join as the option over it. And so you'll see some of that on the screen. And then a closed group will have the word request. And so by joining, you can literally just join and you're in. Request will actually send a request notice to one of the moderators or the administrators of that group. And you'll either be like approved or denied. And it really does depend on is there like a purpose for you to be connected to that group? So and we'll try to explain that sometimes if people try to join something and they get denied, we'll try to explain why so they don't feel like they're being excluded. But there's that reason. It's just because it's a closed group working on a particular piece of work together. But right now, most of our groups are open groups. And I'm just going to give you a couple examples. And so, for instance, Men's Sheds Alberta is one of our newest groups. And if I were to click join, I'm now in. Okay, now I'm a member of the group. It was pretty easy. And this is an example of a group. So Men's Sheds Alberta is an existing initiative. They really wanted to be able to use CORE to reach more people, reach more of an audience working in the CBSS sector or volunteering in the CBSS sector. And so they've kind of put an overview of who they are. They had a launch event recently, introducing themselves and what they're up to. And so we've put the recording of that in their group. You can find it over in the featured resources section, for instance. And a lot of our groups will have like an introduce yourself here section. So you can post like why you've joined the group, who you are, where you're coming from. You'll see my face a lot of the time because I've set up a lot of these posts recently. So I guess this speaks to as well, a lot of our groups, I shouldn't say a lot, some of our groups will host like open meetings or like open events that are kind of like webinar format or like a panel discussion format. And we will help them organize them and we'll post them through the group. We'll post them on like the event section of the site as well. We'll also highlight them in our newsletter that Stephanie mentioned that goes out regularly. And so there's a bunch of different ways to access that content. And if something is promoted, in a group that you have access to or in the newsletter, you are certainly welcome to attend. And it is really a way that different issue areas within the sector can start to learn more about each other in a virtual world because we're spread all throughout the province. Take a sip of water, 1 second, I'm very thirsty. And I guess another example, which is another one I want to highlight. So like maybe connecting people in community for living well. I will join them because they're quite active. Another example of an existing initiative that is really looking to expand their reach, connect with people who they aren't already connected to. And so they provided quite generously a lot of information about what their model is, who they are, and they will regularly host like a partners meeting on a monthly basis and invite kind of whoever wants to come, and we will post the recording again in their site. One further example I'll give, and now everything's a bit out of order on my page according to what I'm used to seeing, so I'm trying to find the thing in real time that I am looking for. Another example I'm going to share is the intergenerational linkages community of practice, just as an example. So they are an example of, they kind of started as a bunch of different organizations and individuals who were collectively interested in intergenerational programming, intergenerational work, and looking to connect with others who are doing that work to really kind of create a community of practice and learn and share resources and information. And so, just a bit of a different way that the groups get used. It's not always about overlaying onto an existing initiative. It can actually be a way that a new collaborative comes together. And so they also host some regular events around intergenerational practices or ideas, bring in guest speakers. Sometimes it's just more of a conversation. And that will, again, all be posted through CORE. So I think that's what I wanted to say. No, I am not done yet. Let me go back and show you a couple more features within the groups. So kind of similar to the main page, there are these bars at the top that will help you navigate the group itself. And so you can navigate through and find like the group specific resources, events. I won't go through all these, and members as well. And so you can go in to the membership list and kind of see who else has joined the group. This is a picture of Bill Gates. He is not actually here with us. It's our developer of the site has him as his photo. So not to be confused. But I'm clicking on Jody Wood as an example of someone who's been a longtime member of CORE, but it just shows that if you click on someone's name, you can then send them a direct message through that functionality that Stephanie mentioned before. So, and if people have selected to share their email addresses, they can also see it that way too. And so you can reach out to them directly. Okay, now I think I'm done talking about groups. And I think maybe the other piece that we haven't spoken to is the news section. Is that correct, Stephanie? I don't think you spoke to that.
Yeah,
so
we're doing the news and then posting.
So just to say, yeah, that there is a news section on the site, and what constitutes as news is kind of a combination of related government announcements, particularly from the government of Alberta, articles from, say, like Global News or CBC, that are about older adults or topics related to aging in the sector. We'll sometimes include like our own announcements here, like if there's a relevant funding call, or we will repost our own newsletter to the section as well. You'll see here, every couple of weeks, we'll update that. And so, yeah, and this is again, and I'll show this right now, is another area that you yourself can post content to. So I'm going to move into that piece now. So the intent of CORE is that it's not only like one directional from Healthy Aging Alberta to the sector. It's not like the website of Healthy Aging Alberta. It's one that we, again, use to further a vision of connection. And so we do currently, however, post a majority of the content ourselves based on like newsletters we receive, or content we search for, or content on LinkedIn or other social media, or things that people send to us. But the functionality is such that users can post content too. So part of our hope is out of today is that you will try that out after you leave the session, or sometime in the next little while when you have all that free time. And I'm going to run through how you do this, but you can also reach out to us for some support one-on-one if needed. So you're already going to be, you'll need to have already signed up for an account and be logged into the site to do this. And I'm logged into my test account right now, which doesn't have all my special admin privileges. So this should be what you would see as well. And you simply head over to the top right corner of the site, and you would push the plus sign, and it'll give you the range of content types that you have access to posting, which is all of them right now. So a wide variety. I'm going to go to news, new news. And we'll click on it. And this is what you would see across all the content types. And so I won't go through them all. They're pretty similar. There might be some slightly different fields you're asked to fill out. But essentially it's asking you like the title, who is it by, the source is like a web link that you can directly link to, where is the location of where the news is taking place. You can do a small summary if you want, which will be the thing that then shows up on the main page underneath the photo that is included too with the content posting. There's a whole body text box section where you can say something about the content that you're posting. There's a place to add a photo. Alternative text is saying something about the photo so that if someone has like a screen reader, it is reading that back to them. And then as Stephanie mentioned, there are a whole bunch of different things you can click And admittedly, I think it can be a little overwhelming because there's a lot. So you don't necessarily feel like, you don't need to feel like you need to like click all of these, but it is allowing you to select like subject areas or categories, as well as like audience types, so that when you're doing those searches later on, it'll come up under those headings. And so I usually just try to pick, maybe not every single one that it could connect to, but the top ones at the very least. And you can always go back and edit that afterwards, but there are a lot of different options to choose from. Some of them actually repeat across subject line and category. So, I mean, you could click them twice, you don't have to. And then when you get through all that, you push the save button and you won't immediately see it pop up on the site, and that is okay. It's because it goes into our backend. And then one of us will just kind of review it, make sure the content aligns with kind of the purpose of the site, that the formatting is looking okay. And, if you haven't been able to add a photo, we might add a photo for you. We might resize the photo for you. So don't worry too much if you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing this right. There's still kind of that check on our end to kind of do that final run through. Okay, so that's what it'll look like just kind of generally across content types. I'll show you, I guess one piece to mention here too is be mindful of that there is a drop down. So you're picking between which site you're posting to. And then once you're in this section, you can also post the different, click the different resource types and see what all of your content is that you've previously posted. So I've gone to news again, and this is something I loaded as like a practice test right before the session today. And so it's showing up in blue. It's a little hard to see. It's light blue, which is indicating to me that it is unpublished. Okay, so you can kind of search by status. This will show me I have no published content so far, but I do have an unpublished post. So we'll just suppose that, no, I don't want to do that. I want to edit it. We'll suppose that I had just kind of gone right in and, I was just filling out the content right now and I'm all done. Got a logo, we've got things checked off, and then I'm going to save it. And then Stephanie is going to get, or me or Stephanie or are going to get a little ding on our end, and we're going to go in and we're going to look it over. You can preview what that will end up looking like. And so this is kind of what the transition from that back end of all the text looks like when it's on the front end of the website. And so sometimes you'll go here and you'll be like, that looks a little bit different than I thought. And you can then go in, edit, and try it again. So that's essentially how you post content across the different types. And I don't know, Stephanie, if there was anything else that we had intended to state.
No, I think that was about it. So just revisiting the fact that, again, try and post content that doesn't have paywalls. If you do put images there, try and either use the image that's with the content that content has, or you've put a royalty-free image there that you have permission to use. And yeah, the point about this site is to really be able to provide free. As you can see, we don't charge for ads. We don't have ads on the site. And we don't charge for article posting. So Erin and I, the reason why we have this extra step of approving is so that Erin and I can make sure that we don't have people coming through and spamming the site. And we can maintain the integrity of that content so that you don't have some of these folks that might come through and spam the site and put random stuff up there, right? Because really it's supposed to be a resource and capacity building network for us as a community-based senior serving organization. And then we do have 2 people from Nova Scotia in the mix here. So just like Erin showed, you can do on national as well. If you're on the Alberta site, it's automatically going to default to posting on Alberta, but you can hit that toggle if you want your site to go to the national site as opposed to the Alberta site. The Alberta site does post national information and national events if they're online. So don't let that, and you can post on both sites. And then I don't think Erin showed how to post in the group, but it's very similar. There's in the groups, there's a post option too that you can post your content in the group. Okay, I'm going to take the screen share one more time for a few last things. Okay, so the last things here. So again, I briefly mentioned the notifications. So you'll see if your post has been approved, or if somebody else, you'll get notifications when you're in a group and a new post has come into the website. When Erin was in the group and she opened up Jody's profile, you notice there was a button next to message. So that's how you can get the messages in your inbox there, or if you know somebody directly. And then up here is, you'll see when you click on your little face, you'll see your My Account, okay, and your sign out. So when you go to My Account, this is where you can update your password. You can also check your notifications in more detail. If you're changing organizations and you know you're changing, you can delete your old account, and then you can always set up your new account in the system. Or you can edit your account to put your new address if you know your new address. So for example, like Michael just came from a senior serving organization to join us. Now he had the option of either he could go in and update his core profile, or he could delete his previous one that was attached to his old address and then put in his new one. Also, you'll see that has all the information that you entered when you signed up, so you can tweak it. You'll see your organization title. Your title is sometimes we'll get people coming through and putting doctor or Mrs. in there. Really what we're looking for title is your role within the organization, because then that helps us on the back end know if this is somebody that's coming through from a community-based senior serving organization. Okay. So you can see it has some different options here. So make sure that your profile's up to snuff. You can make sure your description's written out there of who you are or what you're about. And then you can also change your photo, right? And then any of your, you can save your changes. Okay, I am going to, actually, sorry, I'm jumping back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so, hello, there we go. So our team, currently it is myself and Erin. Now, Erin is actually leaving us here in a few weeks. So for the moment, she will be able to also answer questions about CORE, but she will be gone from the team in January. So I will be your primary contact for CORE and everything CORE. If you have any questions about CORE, if you're having trouble loading content, if we have the newsletters coming out, so newsletter, you can message me about if there's a question about newsletters. And if at some point down the road you're really interested in the work the groups are doing and you think there needs to be room for another group and you want to be a leader of that group, you can reach out to me and we can talk a bit more about that, because you folks are able to start groups, but it's a deeper conversation with us at Healthy Aging Alberta about what that would look like. Now, we mentioned at the beginning, we post everything on YouTube after, so you're welcome to join our Healthy Aging Alberta YouTube channel. We will send out the recording after this event, so you can see this recording directly. But if you want to look at other recordings that have happened, group events get recorded as well. So you can see there's different playlists on there, and you can catch up on previous events that you might have missed if you didn't know those are. So we have lots of wonderful content on that YouTube site that's very useful to your work. The CORE newsletter is coming out bi-monthly. So we showed you on the homepage where you can sign up for the newsletter. So it comes out bi-monthly. It has a snapshot of all the different headers on the CORE platform of what's been happening lately, as well as some Healthy Aging Alberta updates. And then every 3 months, we do a Healthy Aging Alberta big update that is Healthy Aging Alberta specifically. And then every now and then we have special mailouts. Like, for example, we will be launching our transportation funding for rural transportation here shortly. So there will be some special mailouts coming to the newsletter list. in the next few weeks, specifically about that. Okay, and then if you're interested in adding content to CORE, like Erin said, become a member so you can add the content. And then our email that comes back to me and Erin is info@healthyagingalberta.ca. So if you do have trouble putting your content up for whatever reason, just send an email there. But just remember that it doesn't direct publish. It still has to wait for us to prove it, and you saw how Erin showed how you can see what's in the waiting lineup. Okay, so questions for you folks. How can you see yourself using CORE in your work? So please put that in the chat. And we are going to have a few moments here for some Q&A that will go through any questions that popped up in the chat. But also think of how you can use it for your work. And any questions you might have for us, please put in the chat, or you're welcome to ask them directly. I will turn out of my screen here. And thank you for participating. We will toss the survey in the chat here as well. And then, yeah, thank you. So I'm just going to stop share so we can do some Q&A time here. Okay. Erin, did you see any questions come in while I was in the thing?
I don't think a question.
Are you able
there's a
to remove
comment.
user?
Oh, maybe there is.
Somebody sent a direct message to
Okay.
me about, are we able to remove users? So yes, if you switched organizations and you did not, so just like I showed, if you still have, you can log in with your email and password from your old organization, even if you're not there. That part doesn't change if you remember your password. So you can go in and update your profile, but if for some reason you don't remember your password, so you can't do the whole reset password with your email account, then you can just set up a new profile with your new organization, and you can just let us know that you've now moved to delete your old account. Because as much as possible, we want to try and get those old accounts out of there, especially because then it really gives us more of a holistic picture of who's in the system. And we know that some of you might have been at 5 different organizations in the last 5 years. So we're not counting you 5 times. So we know who's actually engaging with the site. So hopefully that answers the question, that yes, you can still log in with your old one if you remember your password. And if not, you can reach out to us to update it, or you can just make a new profile and then let me know to remove the old profile. Oh, and somebody says, I really enjoyed using CORE and I love the education sessions and opportunities. There's so many wonderful education sessions every month. So please keep an eye on that. There's some really useful work or useful presentations for your work. Oh, we showed our YouTube, but we're also on LinkedIn. So you can follow our company page, and we also post the upcoming events and some of the information on our LinkedIn company page too. So if that's better for your brain than newsletter, you're welcome to do that, because we do feature some of the information on there. Not as much as the newsletter, but some of the information. And oh, the Nova Scotia team is looking at a potential model for Nova Scotia. Yes, ideally, we would like, over time, we would like all the provinces to be able to have a CORE platform, so that right now we just have BC, Alberta, and national, but eventually we would like all the provinces to have a CORE Alberta platform, so that it could really be integrative across the province, the older adult serving sector.
And just to build on that, I put this in the chat as well. So CORE Alberta is actually hosted through BC, just the way that the sites are integrated. And so if you do want to talk about developmental opportunities around like how the site itself was developed and how I think other iterations can be linked to it, we can connect you with that side too for further conversation.
It would need a host organization or agency to be doing the bulk of the work, like Healthy Aging is doing, to do that.
This is a good question in the
Yeah.
chat. Throwing it back to us, what are our favorite features of CORE? Maybe we can each answer that. Put us on the spot. No, it's really good. I will go first. I think, what are my favorite features of CORE? I personally really like the events section because like even having worked in the sector for a little while now, there's just continually so many so many things that I wasn't even sure were going on. And that's true too when users post events. It's like one more way that I can learn about them. And I think we too hear that is one of the most popular areas of the site because it's like an easy to engage with. It's like there's an event, it's usually online. Okay, I have a bit of time, I can pop in. If not, I'll get a recording. And so yeah, I like that one quite a bit. And I think the in terms of the feedback and what we see through like Google Analytics, because we track like who is accessing which sections, it's typically events and funding opportunities that are at the top two, and then resources as well. But yeah, the funding opportunities, because everyone is strapped and looking for opportunities. And I guess that's also a call for you that if you are coming across things that you think may not be as well known and wanting to share them with other folks, posting those on the site as well. Anyway, Stephanie, what do you think?
Yeah, those are pretty much my favorites too. Because as we know, we can all follow all these different organization and agency newsletters, and it's often hard to keep track of everything going on. So my brain really functions well when I can see all of them in one calendar together. So I really like how the events features it all together. And Erin and I do go through a lot of the events. If you folks don't post them directly, when we see the newsletters, we have a ton of newsletter subscriptions. So when we see them come through, we try and post them in the events if they're not already up. So by no means does that mean we catch everything, but just sometimes where those are coming from, and the fact that you can attend ones going on internationally or nationally that you might not have heard from before. So I really like that feature, and I really love the funding and the resource sharing, because I think it's nice to have that repository of resources. In our work, we know, oh, I saw that article a month ago that was talking about food insecurity. Where can I find it? And then you can go to the CORE platform and type in food security and find that article again that was interesting to you, and maybe you need it further down the road. So I think that's the really beneficial part about the resource sharing, is it's also this hosting repository for us to keep our collective information, so that when we need it quickly, maybe we're writing a quick funding proposal and we want to pull a quote from a report that we saw 6 months ago, or things like that, that we know that the CORE platform will have lots of that information. So yeah, those are my favorites. And the funding, of course, for all the reasons Erin said. I'm excited to see what others are resonating with here. And Erin did mention the comment that we're really excited for this system sector map. That's going to look really cool. There is a bit of a sector map already on there, which is our older version of the iteration, that you can see how everybody's connected, and our new one's going to layer. There's a lot more room for each organization's profile and information on there. So it's really beautiful, the different layers. You can see who's doing work in your area. You can filter it via what type of work you want to look like, who's doing mental health in the province, or who's doing food security work in the province. So there's some really wonderful things coming out with the map. I don't know exactly when that's launching. That is still one of our other regional community developers is the lead of that project right now. But it will be coming soon in 2024 here. Any additional questions before we call it a day? Everybody's percolating with the information?
Maybe I'll just quickly share too, so if you're interested in knowing more about Healthy Aging Alberta, we don't have a dedicated Healthy Aging Alberta website, but there is a page on the United Way website. So maybe I'll just post that step just so they have that context too. Some of the major, so certainly not all of the work goes on there, but some of the major announcements do. So I think it was recently updated by Stephanie.
It was recently updated because, like I mentioned, we are going to have the rural transportation launch coming up in the next few weeks. January 15th, it goes live, but the website will be updated with the information. So please pay attention to that. If you're a rural partner here and you're coming from rural areas and you wanted to build out a transportation program, the funding will be open from January 15th to February 9th. And you'll be able to peek at that here before winter break to see what it means for putting in a proposal. And we will have an information session on January 18th that we will also get up into CORE so you can see it. But that is coming through. And again, this is for rural partners. It's not for urban transportation settings, but things like that are launched. And we just also launched 7 new social prescribing areas. So we now have social prescribing operated in 10 different areas across the province. So our website's capturing that, so you can learn a bit more about that. And our community and home supports phase 2 funding just also went out. So we now have 15 funded organizations that are working on community and home supports initiatives, and you can see the list of who received funding and what they're up to. So those are some of the updates on there, as well as we just did a 3-year report that summarizes everything that Healthy Aging Alberta has been up to since the initiation for the last 3 years of our operation. So you can find the 3-year report on our website as well as on CORE and go through what we've been up to if you really want to do a deep dive into Healthy Aging Alberta and everything we've been up to. Did you read all 72 pages, Michael?
Yeah, well-ish. Like there's some really great graphics and infographics, so it may look a little daunting, but it was really cool to follow that journey.
And smooth read, I feel, right?
Very much so, and engaging. So nice little in between meetings or during your lunch hour.
Yeah.
Light reading.
Yeah, just a little light reading.
Perfect.
Well,
time.
Yeah. So we will send out a post email. And Erin did put the survey in the chat there. So please do the post survey. We'll send out a post email with the survey again, as well as the YouTube link if you want to rewatch things. And then if play around with CORE. And then if you get stuck, you're always welcome to message us at the info account. And as well, we will have more CORE 101 sessions in 2024. So you can attend as many times as you need to get your thoughts around things.
Yeah, and I won't be there, but it's really nice to kind of meet you, see some new names and see some new faces. And so, yeah, thank you for all the great work you're doing in the sector and beyond. And happy winter, happy holidays. And yeah, we will see you in other ways.
Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.